Welcome back to Changing Latitudes. In this episode, I wanted to talk a little bit of how I built this shelf to hold up the 2 rows of bricks here and get this cap on and get myself across this gap. When building this entrance, I had to consider a couple things. One, obviously I wanted to make sure that it was stable, strong enough to hold a vehicle going across. And then 2, and how to make sure that the elements of the creek are taken care of, particularly this culvert area. The culvert area on the east side was in a prior video where I built a box around it, and you may have seen that video. On this side, I wanted to make sure that the mouth of this culvert box was available for the water to come in. As I've said in other videos, we have quite the flood condition that happens usually about 1 to 2 times a year for 2 to 3 hours each time. That's the reason for all the riprap around. That's the reason for the construct of this retaining wall to be just a bit different. So with that, let me dive into the video and show you what I did. Well, it's the next day and I've got my form in and I'm feeling good that that's exactly how it's gonna, look at the end. This board here is obviously for the bookshelf, if you will, bracket that'll be made out of concrete. So I'm gonna run some stakes in the back, make sure I'm completely level in the form, and then I've got to start building out the elements of the rest of the form, which is of course the base of this front. Gotta put the plywood in. Got to put in my bookshelf, bracket. And then I've got these little pockets over here that are going to be problematic. So I've got to figure out something there just to keep the concrete from flowing out and all that. So some work to do to tighten this thing up. And then I'll move on to the rebar and get that going as well. It shouldn't be that difficult. I've got my cutter down here. I've got myself ready to go for that. So I think the first step is just putting in the stakes, making sure we're level. Once that's done, and then I'm going to probably drill my 2 holes for the rebar that are going to come up this way from the inside the bracket, and so that I can build the box around that and get that going. So yeah, here we go, one step at a time. So I have everything leveled out, staked out. This would sit just fine and be done if this was on the ground. There's so much more to do here by building this thing up as a ledge, a shelf. Now I'm going to go ahead and mark myself my 2 points of entry to drill into the concrete here, so that I can punch my rebar in. That's going to come up through the middle of the bookshelf bracket. And from there, on to the next. So I had to put these in first so that I could get to the woodwork that needs to be down below without having to fight with it at the end. The rest of the rebar sits on the top. So yeah, good. So what I'll do is I'll drill one straight in down and then come back out front, tie these off to them, and that'll hold that stable. And then we'll run rebar across this way and tie it in again, solid. Then we see. Take this. Drill. Okay.
I
See how it's lined up?
Yeah.
You got to push down now. You got to push the whole thing down. You see it? Is it lined up?
A little bit more. More, if you can push more.
Okay, go.
God, Jesus.
Oh, God, yeah.
Oh,
I think you got it.
I think I got it.
Getting it the right height.
Oh, I see what you've done. Yeah.
So the brick is now the same. Okay, so I mean, again, this is a culvert, so let's be practical on how detail oriented it has to be. But there are elements that make sense to take care of. One of which is just the support in this corner here. I'm going to have to build some sort of support so that the weight of the concrete doesn't push the thing and blow it out, and you got concrete everywhere. The other one is this odd little corner, like right here, and what to do with it. So I gotta think it through. I think what I'm gonna do is I'll cut the piece at the angle, kind of slam it in here, and then have another piece back here. It's a little meatier, and I'll screw this piece into it, and then toe screw it downward, just to keep that corner somewhat in play. So both sides are obviously unique, and because this culvert box is tilted just a bit off different than how we're cutting the road in, and obviously this was here first. So I'm going to go ahead and work on this little corners, the two corners first, and then I'm going to go back here and build the supports in the two sections so that I have that fully supported and no blowouts occur. And then from there I will go ahead and start doing the rebar work. Which then would lead naturally to the concrete pour. So, yeah, one step at a time. As is often the case, retrofits suck. So I'm dealing with these corners right now, and it's just was really kind of sloppy work. There's nothing you can really do. You got an angle, got compound angles. So I'm able to get around it, got through it, no problem. Whatever, it is what it is. And then I've got my fall caulked in here so that I'm ready to go for that. Now it's time to drill the holes for the rebar that's going to bend forward here and then tie out to the rest of the rebar. So yeah, hopefully this is the easy bit. have the rebar in place and set up in a nice way structurally, tied into the concrete that was here before with the culvert box. I've got my tube here. It seems oddly placed, but it's designed to eventually allow a French drain to tie into it and drop into the creek below. We have our bracket built in. So what I'm going to go do is go mix up 5 bags by hand, turn it over with a shovel. Done it in the past, you've seen it in prior videos. Bring the tractor around here to the front and bring the bucket down low enough and scoop into it. I want to obviously take care of the bracket first, being the lowest point. Get that nice and situated and full in there and fill across. It's supposed to take about 12 to 13 bags. I've got 20, so we're hopefully covered. These little corners here, a little funky, not overly excited about them, but they're there and they're done, and that's the way that is. So here we go, let's get going with this. Okay, with everything completed now, I'm really excited about what the outcome of this is. You know, it's a beautiful late afternoon, and you know, the temperature was perfect. Everything was easy to work with. Looks like all the supports held up, thank God. So everything's in motion. I've looked at it from the, you know, the plane, and looks really, really level. Obviously, very much the most important part as the bricks come into it and go out. Again, we've got our spacers here that show us that we're up to the right level of 6 inches. So when those bricks come in, it'll match in. I did notice that I have a bit of this little corner kind of weirdness going on. Hey, you know what? It's not a big deal. It's a culvert. So I'll have that corner kind of be just a bit jutted out there on that one. I was noticing it. It might be just like, you know, hey, a ½ inch. I'm going to go ahead and let this dry and take it apart tomorrow afternoon. I think we're in great shape here, ready to go. You know, and then I will wait probably a day or two to paint it, because I'm going to paint this whole thing to the same color stain that I had over on the east side. Not for really anything but to, you know, I've got some of this runoff that looks like a stain and all these things. So now if you just tie that all in, old with new, and it'll look right. So I'll just stain it all one color and it'll be great. Really excited. The height's perfect. Looks like the bracket went in well. Of course, you'll never know until the wrapper comes off, right? You got to take the wrapper off before what she looks like. So at this time, great. We'll see tomorrow if it's really, really good. So with that, let's go ahead and kick to tomorrow. Well, I decided to wait a couple days. There's no rush on this, and the board is starting to separate from the concrete is starting to separate from the form. So it's a good day to kind of take this moment. It's a Friday, get myself set up for the weekend. So let's take it apart, see what we got. Okay, so overall, I think this bracket turned out amazingly good. It looks really solid, and yeah, it's going to serve its purpose. Face came out a little bit aggravated. I obviously didn't get it down as much as I thought I did. That's fine, actually, because, and I'm half of mine thinking that's actually turned out to be a real good thing, because as you can see here, the current structure has a lot of damage over the last 40, 50 years. So it almost fits the age of it, if you will. So if it was just so perfect, it wouldn't be right. So I'm half baked on the idea of whether or not I'm going to deal with this at all. I might just fill it in somewhere in the back so it doesn't get any water in there and you know, bust out somewhere along the way. So I might fill in the more aggressive parts to it and leave it alone. You know, so you can see some of the caulking in here that I use to keep it from dripping and draining out. Again, this is a culvert area, and there's no reason to lose my marbles over it. You know, let it be, and it looks just fine. You know, and over time, weather will tear into it, and it'll be what it is. So I think one last test here, and that is the bricks on both sides, and then we'll find out if I was really, you know, doing my job here. So let's see it. Okay, so we have a really good level mark there that's actually really solid. The only challenge I'd give it is that there's a little bit of a drop here in the corner from the brick, not from the work, so that's a good thing. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a little spacer underneath this, get that thing up to plumb, and then it'll be perfect. It'll run just great. Let's go do the other side. Now that is perfect. That'll work great. There's no lift to it. It's awesome. It's lined up perfectly. I'm pressing on both ends. Good. So one more test that I have to do here, and that is putting the 6-footer on here. I'm expecting a little bit of chatter in its line on top here. Just a bit. Oh, I couldn't be happier with that. That's really good. Again, we got ourselves here a good bubble. Nothing that visually is going to pop out on you and go, oh my God. So yeah, very happy with the unpack here. I've got to make a decision if I want to get a little bit creative here and fill this in. Again, kind of makes it look like it's a part of the original form, especially once I paint it all. Right now you got a little effervescence up on the top here from the water, too much water, but that was all going to be painted anyway, so I did lean a little heavier on being wet. So yeah, I'm very happy with the output of this. You know, again, it kind of makes it look like it's rustic and it's gotten itself a little bit tattered with time, which is better than if it just looked perfect. If it looked perfect, then it wouldn't match anything here. The bricks themselves, it wouldn't even match the stackable wall, because that's obviously chiseled. So yeah, I can't even push this down either way, so that's good. And the bubbles is about as good as it's going to get. Maybe a hint to the right of a cheat. I'm sure I could probably move this stick in a couple locations and get different answers to some degree, but yeah, it's in good shape. Very happy. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to painting it and getting this thing ready to go for stacking. So that'll be the tie out to the finish of the video. Also, so I just show you this, that looks perfect down that hole. It's exactly what I was looking for there. So I'm happy with that look as well. You know, I'm going to obviously cut the pipe down and then put a an elbow on it to go back to. So I don't have a lot of room because I only got the 6 inches to make the turn in. So I've been a little bit concerned, but it is what it is. We'll figure it out. It's the morning after I've taken off the forms, and I'm going to give it a slight stain job real quick on the top part so that I can continuing with the bricks. I probably won't do the bottom until I'm close to completion. But it turned out good. It looks like it's as planned and solid, and I'm happy with it. It's straight, it's level. So let's stain it up and get it done. Good thing about this stuff is you don't have to be overly perfect with it. It's actually, it just rolls on, and I've been impressed by how easy it is that it goes on. It's very, I guess the viscosity of it, I think so, is really thin. So it pours quick, and it goes on quick, and it dries quick. So all good. Again, this color, if you've been with the channel for a while, is not something that I was overly excited about. I still really am not. But it is what it is, and I did do the other side with it. Not that anybody's going to go, oh my God, you did the east side differently than the west side, but I'm just keeping it for consistency at this point. Today is all about coursework. We're going to get a couple courses in. It's going to be a little sweltering this afternoon, so hopefully I can get it done early and get it out of the way. But the coursework is all what we're going to do today. It's a rewarding day because generally you do a lot of volume and you get to see visually what you're doing. We will not be backfilling because we've got to put the tubes in for the fence. So we'll put it all up. These two courses are the last two full courses that are going to go all the way through the entire retaining wall. The remaining courses will just be the stair up the hill. So here we go. As often is the case, I always kind of run my videos from start to finish in flow. So you've seen the ending of this video at the beginning. I did it a little bit different this time because frankly, I didn't have any good footage to start the video, number one, just to be honest. Number two, it's kind of one of those videos where if you don't kind of see the ending product, why continue watching? So I wanted to show you it. It is really, really nice in how it came together, and I was excited about sharing that out. You know, when you're thinking and conceptualizing something, you don't really know how it's going to play out. And in fact, up to the last minutes, I didn't know. I had an idea and I wanted to run with it. it came out perfect. It came out exactly as I expected. In fact, I was going to stain the whole box, as I said in the video, and I ended up not doing that because as it tied into the riprap left and right, the gray or the white gray of the box matched better with the riprap, and this nice little stained area matched better with the rock, or should I say the retaining wall. So with that, I just figured it was just better to kind of close out, and it really, for a culvert box, looks good. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out this video. The next video, I'm going to go ahead and get into closing out this entrance from the retaining wall perspective. The fence post that you see in my background will come together in the fence post video that I'll probably start posting next year, as I won't be able to complete this project this year. A little bit of a fail point, wasn't too excited about that, but I did have to capitulate as I launched 2 other major projects that I will be sharing out with you, which is the yellow shop retrofit and also our enlarging of the secondary pond. So there was too much to get done before the year turned to this in the season, and I just decided to cut to it. With that, I'm going to go ahead and close out this video. Thank you for watching to the end. See you soon.